My name is Padma, and I live in Sag Harbor, New York, the end of Long Island. I first did yoga in college when I was in New Mexico. I did it at the university, and I signed up for the class, didn't really know much about it, but she was an incredibly bright light, probably one of the brightest lights I had met at that point in my life. And she did a lot of stuff in the class that I haven't had in any other traditional yoga class. We did a lot of polarity therapy where we'd hold each other's legs and do energy balancing, and we would do chanting for the chakras, and we would do meditations and deep relaxations. And I was just really drawn to her and drawn to her quality of energy. When I was 17, I broke my arm. And so in the yoga in New Mexico was very gentle. It was very therapeutic and restorative. And when I moved to New York, I sought that out. And because I worked right around the corner from Integral Yoga Institute, I just ended up there. And their philosophy is also very, I would say, gentle. And the focus is not so much on asana practice, but asana practice as a preparation for the breathing practices and meditation. And that was actually what pulled me in, because I couldn't sleep in New York City. And so I would go to yoga to relax and to sleep. And so for the first few months, all I did was sleep during deep relaxation and the breath work, which was about 25 minutes of the class, which was great. And I kept coming back because I needed that respite. I needed that kind of way to slow the world down and get back into my own body. When I was in New York with this woman, Ranjani, she was a healer. And so even though we did yoga together, we also did one-on-one healing sessions together. I guess I call her a healer because we worked one-on-one, and I felt like the amount of yoga that I was doing, because it became a safe haven. Integral yoga just became a place where I spent a lot of time. It was an ashram with swamis living in the ashram, so you could spend quite a bit of time there. You could have community meals there, and you could do work study there, and I spent quite a bit of time there. So the amount of yoga that I did really opened me up in ways that I wasn't able to understand on my own. So our work together, or my work with her, was really being able to break all of that down and look at it and grow from it. I guess that's what I call healing, the ability to be able to step back, change perspective, or at least have a perspective, then maybe change perspective and mature, grow. I guess I can see the quality of the ashram as a place of safety, or the quality of a yoga class even as a place of safety, or working one-on-one with a healer as a place of safety. Safety, or a place where you can be vulnerable, or even be who you are, not who you're supposed to be, or who you think you want to be, or who other people would like you to be. You get to really take all those masks off and become vulnerable. And so I think that's where the healing was for me, especially, is that I could kind of re-identify who I was, or even get in touch with who I was, really dive into that. So the ability to get quiet has been really invaluable to me, and has been almost something that I have fallen very kind of deeply in love with. So the challenge is being a mother with a noisy little boy is, how do I still maintain that? How do I stay in that place of stillness? Having to step out of the stillness into the noisiness and still maintain that ability to connect to myself, which has been a very interesting that's been my new practice. It's like pre-mom, post-mom. In a way, when he was younger, it was easier because, all you do is hold them, and you spend a lot of time just sitting and holding, and for me, breastfeeding. So there's a lot of time just sitting, and that was actually a very healing place for me, or a bonding place. And I think one of the reasons why I wanted to have a child was because I didn't feel that with my parents. I didn't feel that depth of kind of melding with them or connecting to them. And so with my son, I felt like we got to become really deeply, intimately connected. And I could also chant to him to put him to sleep. And there was a lot of stillness then. And so as he's gotten older, and I chant to him and he tells me to be quiet, it's a little different. I still do meditate. I get up in the morning and meditate, and sometimes he's awake and sometimes he's asleep, and sometimes I lay down and do yoga nidra instead of an upright meditation. But I try to put it in there. One, because I want him to see that I'm meditating. I want him to be around that practice. And I want him to know that mommy needs space. And what does that feel like when somebody's meditating in the room? He does not sit with me and meditate. Every once in a while he'll sit and he'll go, "Look, Mom, I'm meditating." But it's usually like 30 seconds, if that. He'll like to, he's very cute. But he knows how to be quiet, and he knows how to, one thing that I've really tried to foster in him, and with the places that I've sent him to school, is the ability to be with himself and to be able to stay in his imagination. I find that, to me, that was very important for me. And so I try to give him a lot of space to do that, and he does it. It's great. So in a way, it's his own, I don't know, it's a play, imagination, quiet time. The first 5 years of being a mom was very consuming and really all about Mateo's needs, my son's needs. And when I tried to focus on myself too much, I could, but if it was too much, I would get kind of drawn back to just very basic needs, taking care of somebody else. And I kind of knew that going in, that 5 years was going to be my challenge. So now I'm in this interesting place of he's 6, and I get to move out into the world, but I still get drawn back quite a bit. I still have to wake up in the morning, get him fed, get him to school, get him home, get him fed, get him to bed. And when he's sick, take care of him. And so there's still quite a lot of attention around him. So I get little pieces. And so the anatomy has been one, just to help stimulate my mind. And it's fascinating. I feel like the more I focus on the anatomy, just simple things like how a nerve has to be elastic, or how these aortas really lengthen and then come back in, or how, just simple, I wouldn't say simple, but just really basic anatomy is fascinating. It's like looking out into the universe, but it's inside your own body. And then the other parts of being inspired is art. I really love looking at art. I love taking Mateo to galleries. I love going to see art. I have friends who are artists and just love being in their homes and seeing how they're creating. And because I went to art school, I think that's part of my next journey, is getting my hands back on something. So integral yoga was an incredibly invaluable place for me. Swami Ramananda was, and still is, a good friend and support. Ranjani Cobo, who I'm not in contact with, but was an incredible teacher for me. Cyndi Lee was also inspiring and very supportive. Yes, I'll probably forget some people. Jivamukti Yoga Center, Jivamukti Yoga in New York was an incredible, challenging place for me to be, to view or use my body in ways I never thought that I could. The Iyengar Institute, Mary Dunn, Carrie Owerko, Patricia Walden, Rodney Yee. Yeah, I've had the gift of being with really great teachers. And as I get older, I'm drawn to different people for different things, but they've all been either very supportive emotionally or very healing or very inspiring.